This is a universe where fearfulness and apprehensiveness walk together, but in all that gloominess shines like beam of optimism. This is tale of Anne Frank, young girl whose tenacity of character in front of unthinkable brutality has motivated millions of individuals all across the world. Anne's tale, from initial months of hers in Frankfurt to her death in Bergen-Belsen, is a witness of human tendency to love, to hold on to hopes, to survive at all cost. Let us take that emotional ride together to see how she has influenced people even till now. Let us celebrate together the ageless heritage of Anne Frank in the face of goodness and hope in a time where we need it more than ever before. Anne Frank was born on the 12th of June in the year of 1929 in Frankfurt in Germany. Surrounded by her loving father Otto and Edith and older sister Margot, Anne grew in a tapestry of love and inquisitiveness. With every passing year, though, things around Anne took darker tones. Adolf Hitler's Nazi party reached power, casting its ominous cloud of fear on all of Germany. For Jewish families like that of Frank's, things became more complicated by the passing of every day. Streets of lively Frankfurt, where she used to play around and have good laughs with friends, now reeked of suspicion and fear. As anti-Semitism crept in, Franks realized that things became much more complicated for them to stay in their own country. They decided to take their biggest step in year 1934 by giving away everything precious to their hearts to move to Amsterdam, where things would be more secure and friendly for them to stay. Amsterdam became a new home for Anne, where she learned to speak Dutch, developed new friends, and found solace in Amsterdam culture that was rich in variety. But even while she prospered in new surroundings, the shadow of Nazi occupation remained in the background, constantly reminding her of dangers that loomed before her. Amsterdam was a vibrant city where Anne became a lively and inquiring young kid, full of enthusiasm for living and for learning. Every day was full of pleasures of going to school, where she excelled in academics and developed love for writing immensely. She loved to write stories and have a diary that was like her own friend and expression of creativity. Anne loved friends as well. She developed many of them at school, where together she explored Amsterdam city full of smiles and adventures. However, as Nazi occupation began to cast its gloomy cloud on Europe, Frank's sense of safety started to erode away. Once peaceful, friendly cities started to become unsafe for Jewish families like theirs. As anti-Semitic laws and restrictions tightened around Jewish families like theirs, Franks realized that they would not remain secure for much more time. Nazi occupation's relentless pursuit of Jews ensured that every passing day offered fresh fears and unknowns to their family. Despite these grim events, determination remained unbroken in Anne. Writing in a diary was still employed by her as refuge in speaking hopes, dreams, and fears. A diary was more than a journal to her now. It was a record of human determination in face of unthinkable events. As Franks went into hiding, a diary would provide a great inheritance, a forceful cry that would ring through all of history, speaking to us of fearlessness, of empathy, of determination to survive unyieldingly. Amid conflict, only love of stories and a need to write became more intense in Anne. Short stories and fairy stories wrote themselves, to which she would recite for all of their people in hiding. Aspiration to write or to work as writer was evident in their painstaking manner of working on their stories, copying painstakingly in their notebook of stories and events from Backhouse. Not only was comforting to write, but it was a shining beacon of optimism in blackened circumstances. As occupation by Nazis became more intense, Franks decided to go on hiding. They left their home on July 6, 1942, wearing layers of extra clothes in order not to cause suspicion, and went to stay in hiding in secret, in an annex to Otto Frank's office building. There, in that small but unyielding community in hiding, was where her diary would thrive in all of its glory, speaking all of their secret life experiences in hiding and all of rich human experiences that happened within these secret walls. In the summer of 1942, things took a dramatic turn for the family of Franks. Margot Frank, older than Anne, was summoned by the Nazis on July 5th to work in German work camp. Not only was it not only a summons, but also a death warrant in disguise. Father of Anne realized that if Margot went, she would not survive to tell anyone. Realizing she would not survive to tell anyone if she went, facing that terrible thought, Father of Anne decided to put in practice a plan he thought of for months. He renovated in secret an unused room in space in his office building into a secret refuge that he called the Secret Annex. On July 6, 1942, Franks' family slipped away from their Amsterdam home in secret, presenting themselves to move to Switzerland in order to escape suspicion. They went to the Secret Annex at Prinsengracht 263, where Opekta, that of Otto's enterprise, was located. Hidden cleverly by secret revolve of a bookshelf was their hiding from outsiders. There lived yet another family in hiding from prosecution, that of Van Pel's family. Eventually, family dentist and family friend Fritz Pfeffer would move in as well. Life in the Secret Annex was utterly demanding. During the day, the group needed to stay completely quiet to escape discovery by the Nazi patrols and workers in the building downstairs. Their caretakers, Miep Gies and other devoted friends, put their own necks on the line to provide food, news, and essentials to them. Through all these difficulties, though, the residents of the annex managed to create some sense of normalcy in their lives. They set schedules that included listening to broadcasts from the BBC for news, reading, and meals together. To Anne, her diary was her de facto best friend. She wrote everything from the daily routine of living in hiding to introspections on humanity and the war on its pages. Her writings gave expression to hopes and fears of a young girl living in desperate circumstances, but still believing in hopes of a brighter future to come. Through words on paper, she wrote of yearning to see sunlight, of people watching around her, of coming to age in all that was happening around her. Amidst confinement and living in fear of discovery at all moments of every day, residents of the Secret Annex demonstrated their tenacity of character. They managed to take care of one another in every way that counted, to preserve their dignity in every sense of the term, to hold on to hopes in every sense of that term as well. Anne's diary is proof of human character to survive even in extreme circumstances. They remind us of humanity at its greatest in all of these things. Anne's diary is not only record of history, but of that young girl's heart that was a witness to humanity at its worst, but at its best as well. Through her writings, she makes us realize how much power love has to neutralize even in worst of situations. On August 4th, 1944, their lives took a devastating turn when the Gestapo discovered the Secret Annex in Amsterdam, where they had been hiding for 2 years. The family, along with the others in the annex, was arrested and deported to Westerbork, a transit camp in the Netherlands. After nearly a month, they were sent to Auschwitz, a notorious concentration camp in Poland, where they faced unimaginable hardships. In October 1944, Anne and her sister Margot were transferred to Bergen-Belsen, a concentration camp in Germany. Conditions there were catastrophic. Overcrowding, hunger, and disease were rampant. The camp was originally a prisoner of war camp, but became a concentration camp in 1943. And by the end of the war, it was a collection point for survivors of death marches, leading to extreme overcrowding and deteriorating living conditions. In February 1945, a typhus epidemic swept through Bergen-Belsen, claiming thousands of lives. Anne and Margot, weakened by malnutrition and exhaustion, fell ill with typhus. Despite the efforts of those around them, they succumbed to the disease just a few months before the camp was liberated by Allied forces on April 15, 1945. The liberation of Bergen-Belsen was a moment of hope amidst unimaginable suffering. British forces found thousands of bodies unburied and tens of thousands of prisoners on the brink of death. The relief efforts were immediate, with a focus on burying the dead, containing diseases, and providing food and medical care to the survivors. However, for Anne and Margot, it came too late. Their story serves as a powerful reminder of the human cost of war and the importance of preserving peace and humanity. August 4th, 1944, the Secret Annex is discovered and Anne Frank and her family are arrested. September 1944, the family is deported to Auschwitz. October 1944, Anne and Margot are transferred to Bergen-Belsen. February 1945, a typhus epidemic claims the lives of Anne and Margot. April 15th, 1945. Bergen-Belsen is liberated by British forces. Overcrowding. Tens of thousands of prisoners were packed into small areas, leading to the spread of diseases. Hunger. Food was scarce, and prisoners often went without meals for days. Disease, typhus, dysentery, and other illnesses were rampant due to poor sanitation and lack of medical care. Immediate relief efforts. British forces worked to bury the dead, restore water supplies, and provide food and medical care. Many survivors faced a long and difficult recovery process, with some never fully recovering from their experiences. Anne Frank's story didn't have death in its end. Miep preserved her diary that was placed in print by her father Otto at the end of World War II. It became one of best-selling titles in the world that stands as witness to human potential of harboring hopes. Anne Frank's legacy now moves people of all walks of life now. Her story makes us aware of how much empathy and resistance to injustice is within us. Amsterdam's Anne Frank House now stands as peace icon of peacefulness and tolerance that makes millions of people aware of how dangerous prejudice is and how valued human rights are. Anne Frank's own story was like sunlight in a globe that was shrouded in darkness. Her diary is a reminder that even in situations of extreme adversities, hopes never cease to survive. Let her story inspire to fight for righteousness, to hold every moment for preciousness, and to never succumb to humanity. Her story is more than just pages in a diary. It's a reminder of resilience, hope, and the power of words. Trapped in a world of fear, she found freedom in writing. She dreamed of a future beyond the walls of the Secret Annex, a future where her voice would be heard. And today, her voice still echoes across time, inspiring millions. Her routine may have been confined, her world small, but her impact was limitless. Through her words, we see history not just as facts, but as the lived experiences of those who came before us. And that's what we do here at Figures of Time. Step into the daily lives of history's greatest figures to learn from their struggles, their habits, and their extraordinary journeys. If you want to continue exploring the routines and legacies of the past's most influential minds, hit that subscribe button and join us as we bring history to life, one figure at a time.